man with an eye for beauty, an ear for music, an appreciation for talent. Burton is Bluebeard. He had a way with the world's most beautiful women. He did away with them.
Why did you kill them?
Why else? They deserve to die.
One he shot. One he drowned. One he falconated. One he froze. One he chopped. One he coffined. Two he chandeliered. Richard Burton as Bluebeard.
Do you like me?
Of course.
Do you love me?
With Raquel Welch.
He was so kind, so gentle.
Verna Lisi.
Oh, lover, when I'm near you.
Nathalie Delon. Mary Lou Tolo. Karen Schubert. Sybil Danning. Agustina Belli. And Joey Heatherton.
The great hero, trembling at the thought that his myth might collapse.
Burton. Bluebeard.
Don't tell me. It's great. It's terrific. It's colossal. It's gigantic. Oh, yeah? You better be or else. did that?
Where were you when the tragedy occurred?
What's your name?
Why did you do it?
I think you're a wise guy. A wise guy. A wise guy.
Why did you do it?
Oh, so you can't take it. Take it for. Where were you on the afternoon of June the 29th?
Sneaked in?
He's public enemy number one. He's public enemy number one. Guilty. He's public enemy number one.
Thief! Have you reached a verdict?
Yes, Your Honor, we report guilty. That's our verdict.
Defendant, face the court. The show must go on. Your repentance is due. For what you have done, we sentence you to...
Hang by your feet, your hands and your toes, with strings on your fingers and rings in your nose, whirling and twirling around and around, all topsy-turvy and upside down. You have to prance when the music you hear, dance when you're pulled by an old puppeteer. Hang by your feet and your hands and your toes, with strings on your fingers and rings in your nose.
Monsieur the Duke.
Tell me, have you been good?
What a question.
You haven't been fooling around with any of those native girls, I hope.
How could you think of such a thing?
Oh, when I was your way, I think of all sorts of things.
Mm-hmm. There's the difference. All I think of is you.
No kidding.
Every moment.
Here is the outstanding comedy genius of our time in a different mood. As a dashing, debonair Lothario. A lady killer, if ever there was one.
He's a Bluebeard, a mass killer operating in cities all over the country.
Tell me, what are you doing now?
Oh, a little of everything. Real estate, stock market.
Well, you must have made a killing.
Yes. Just as I thought. Phony. Fake.
What?
Glass, you silly ass. Glass. What would you like to drink for dinner, dear?
Bordeaux would be nice, Pigeon.
Bordeaux?
Good evening, goblins and ghouls, and welcome to the Friday Night Scream Stream. I'm your host, Spakenstein, joined as always by my very good friend, Mr. Evan Sink.
Good evening.
How we doing tonight, Evan?
We are doing well. We're doing well here on the Scream Stream. It's based on an idea by Garrett Spake.
Yeah, we can't give him full credit, obviously. There had a bit of a falling out, but idea by credit. He should be lucky. He should take it for what it is. Well, good evening. I hope everybody is doing good out there on this Friday evening. I hope you're doing well, Evan.
I am. I hope you're doing well tonight.
I am doing. I'm hanging in there. Of course, I want to apologize to everybody for being a tad bit late this evening. Hi, S Sinks in the chat. Hope you're doing well tonight, S Sink. Hope things are good. Hope you're staying dry.
Yeah.
It's been a wet one here in our
wet
neck of the
week.
woods. Yeah, just the week. I mean, my God, the ground's all spongy. Evan's trying to keep his land from falling apart. It's it's no shortage of excitement. So I mean, it's trying to stay dry, trying to keep yourself above water, literally. So
trying to keep our heads above water.
Trying to. So
just like we do on this show.
Every Friday and Wednesday, just treading and gasping for air.
Yelling.
Yeah, doing better now that it's the weekend. Yes, S-Sync. It is the weekend. We made it. You made it. We're here again.
To MLK.
That's
weekend.
right, holiday weekend. So if you've had a long week, don't worry. We're gonna unwind tonight, and then most people get a long weekend. So pretty nice. Can't be upset about that. So things are looking up going into the weekend. So that's what you want.
Can I say I'm enjoying this music?
Do you like it?
We've got some nice music. Little light jazz.
An audience, let me know if you can hear it. I mean, obviously, I don't want to make it too loud, but it's providing.
It sounds like we're here in we're in a lounge.
Right. Well, that's
Welcome to the studio lounge.
That's what it essentially this is. This
lounge
is the
studio.
The lounge that we wait in as we get ready for this feature presentation. And in between the feature presentation, we hop into the lounge, we chat a little bit.
Just like you do. You go to the movies, you pause the movie, everybody goes out into the lounge.
Well, I mean,
hangs out for a few.
You see why intermissions were a thing, right? Give people a chance to get it out of their system so that everybody can go back in and be totally focused on the movie without poking or nudging or hey, what did you that scene was crazy.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind an intermission in a movie nowadays. It might be nice just to everybody take 5, stretch your legs, go get some more popcorn.
I think it kind of makes sense, with people, as short as their attention spans are, sometimes you need a little break to kind of, check your phone. You got to be engaged in the movie to me. You got to.
Oh God, I hope that if ever that really catches on, it's not because people have to stop and check their phones.
Well, unfortunately, that's the way the world is heading. But but an intermission would be nice. But what are you gonna do? So that's what we do here. We have a little intermission, and it's an opportunity to absorb what we're taking in and enjoy the movie. And tonight we're gonna be walking back to Poverty Row.
Oh boy.
And it's been a while since we've been down on Poverty Row. First time this season. We're going to be watching Bluebeard from 1944. And it's kind of more of a psychological thriller, I guess you could say. And it's from the Poverty Row Studio PRC, Producers Releasing Corporation. and it stars John Carradine, who you may know, you may not know. It's kind of a big horror name.
Name for sure.
We've seen him in. We saw him in Voodoo Man, which is our lost episode.
You can't find that one.
I can't find that one. I feel like maybe we saw him in something else. I mean, I know we saw him in an episode of Lights Out, but I don't know if we've seen any other movies with John Carradine. But we'll get our fill of Carradine tonight. And of course, just before we, start getting into things, again, just want to, welcome the audience. I appreciate you all being here, and give you an open invitation. Hop in the chat. Let's pal around. Let's joke around. You got opinions, you got some thoughts about this movie, sound off about it. This is, again,
you got any Carradine hot takes?
Yeah, any fun facts or juicy gossip about any of the Carradines, huge acting dynasty, it's relevant. Again, that's the beauty of this being a live show, is we talk about it real time. And so, don't be afraid to hop in the chat. Just say hello. We're happy to have you here, and happy to be, sharing this movie with you, which, again, tonight's movie, I haven't seen it, but it's got an interesting reputation. So we'll get into all that tonight. And, I'll just...
A good or a bad reputation?
It's divisive.
Okay, so both.
Both.
Depends on who you
ask. The book, which I consult for all my Poverty Row horror research, has a really nice chapter on this. And it's kind of... That's the tack that it takes with it. It's gotten a lot of...
Okay.
It's gotten... I'll just go ahead and say it's gotten a lot of praise. I don't want to set expectations too high. But,
you might love it.
You might, but you have to remember also that it is a Poverty Row horror film.
You might hate it.
So you might just not be able to get over the caveats that come along with any poverty, because those are there. But this, I want to ask, I do want to know from the audience by the end of tonight, you think it rises above the average Poverty Row horror film? That's kind of the thing that I'm interested in tonight.
Yeah, anybody who's been along for the ride. We've watched a few Poverty Row films.
We've watched a lot. I mean, we, of course, Lugosi did 9 with Monogram, and we've only watched like 3 or 4 of those, but we've seen from PRC, the studio that made tonight's film, we've seen The Mad Monster, Fog Island, The Devil Bat with Lugosi, I think a few other ones. And so, this is definitely a big budget movie for them, which is still not a big budget in standard classic Hollywood times, but it was as much as they could do. So it'll be interesting. And of course, title of tonight's film's Bluebeard. I'll go and tell you, it's not a direct adaptation of the fairy tale. It's kind of using the word as the colloquialism that it was at the time. To be a Bluebeard was to be a wife murderer, right? Somebody that is killing their wives, or
specifically your own wives,
right? Or just a succession of women.
Not someone else's wives.
Well, yeah, I guess that would be that gets in a whole other territory, because then you're getting
a lot of murderers are wife murderers if you think about it.
That's true. That's a good point. Don't even get the true crime head started on that one. You don't even want to
Yeah. What is the conspiracy there? Why are all these victims married?
Could there be a connection? Yeah, I don't know. This is definitely like a, kind of about a man who seduces and kills women, and it's using the name Bluebeard, but John Carradine will not have a beard. There will not. The story, there was a folktale fairy tale, and it's about a French nobleman who he had a locked room, and
very grim.
His wife couldn't go in there, and
it's a grisly fairy tale.
Yeah, not a grim
fairy tale.
It was first kind
the
of
other one
put into writing by Charles Perrault, who was a French writer who kind of invented the literary genre of the fairy tale. I mean, obviously fairy tales, folk tales were passed down over time, but he was kind of one of the first, before the Grimms, to commit these tales. I mean, Sleeping...
What did he do again? It was like Cinderella.
Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, Red Riding Hood, this. I mean, he...
Yeah, how come they never made a Disney movie?
I know. Where's
the
Disney Barbe Bleu? I mean, and that's the French Barbe Bleu. So, and tonight's film takes place in Paris. So, you know, we'll have plenty of opportunities to, you know, really have fun with a French accent. So it's going to be a great time. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of give that off the bat that it is, you know, it's not quite an adaptation of the folktale fairy tale, but it's going to be very interesting.
Yellowbeard? Is there a Yellowbeard?
Nice fan over on YouTube, not Graham Chapman, is Yellowbeard. Yes, Evan, there is. It's a not very well critically acclaimed movie that Graham Chapman wrote and starred in.
Oh no!
As this crazy pirate, Yellowbeard, which is funny you say that, nice fan, because when I was like looking up, you know, doing research for this, and I was looking at, you know, when I was doing a post for actually the segment that's about to come up next, I was looking for a joke to kind of like, you know, are there any Bluebeard jokes out there? And everyone was a pirate joke. Every single one was, you know, I was looking for wife murderer jokes, and, you know, all I got was pirate stuff. There's no Bluebeard the pirate. There's Bluebeard the serial killer.
The first time I heard Bluebeard, that's what I assumed.
That he was a pirate.
That he was a pirate.
I mean, I've, you know, I've been aware of this movie for a while, but I definitely didn't, you know, I hate to disappoint anybody that came into this just knowing the title and thinking, oh, we're going to get a nice swashbuckler tonight. Oh, that is unfortunately not the case. But, you know, like I said, I was doing that research for a post on our wonderful segment, which Evan brings us every week, where he pairs a delicious cocktail to pair with the evening's film, a little segment which we call...
What were you drinking?
What are we going to be drinking this evening, Evan?
Well, tonight's drink is not an original. I wanted to do an original this week, but I found one that I think was just a little too perfect. This week's drink is the Lady Killer.
Ooh.
So this is I'm unfortunately having to substitute kiwi for passion fruit. The recipe calls for passion fruit. The grocers around here are not passionate for it, I suppose. So we're having kiwi instead, gin, passion fruit liqueur, triple sec, and pineapple juice. And it's been a while since we've broken out the passion fruit liqueur.
Yeah. Yes, it has. It's when was that? What was
that? Was I think it was Bela Lugosi meets a Brooklyn Gorilla.
Oh yeah, that's what you said. It was Bela Lugosi meets a Tokyo Godzilla. That was the drink. That's right. That's right. Yes. How can I forget? Yeah, and we, you know, was that the we were trying to remember if there was a drink that called for passion fruit. There was something that called for some kind of exotic fruit that we could not find at our local grocery store, and so you just went with kiwi, which makes sense. Good substitution, if you ask me. So you're thinking on your feet. You know, you gotta pivot, and it's like no problem, no problemo, says Evan.
I'm also realizing I forgot to cut the lemons.
Oh no! Well, you know what they say. When life gives you lemons,
don't cry over spilt lemons.
Yeah. Oh, that's what they say. That's right. That's foolish of me. Yeah. And hopefully, hopefully you're not cutting too fast, Evan. Okay, good. Thank you. Ooh, look at this.
Yeah, look how this is fancy tonight.
Very fancy. It looks better on your camera. The pink really pops more on your camera, but it is a nice pink and a nice little lemon wedge there on the edge. So,
well, it smells good. Although I might just be smelling the lemon.
Yeah, I think it is. I think the lemon is a little strong there. Well,
all right, we
on
got
that note-
Bluebeard. We got a pink drink. This is the Lady Killer. Cheers.
Cheers. Wow.
That's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is delicious.
Yeah. That's
This music is the fucking Eric Andre music, dude. This is a Streamlabs like approved playlist.
Oh, yeah, this segment is not nearly as crazy.
No, it's not. But
Yeah.
I will tell you, this drink it's like smooth.
Yeah, there's a lot of flavor in that. Like I'm getting hit with like different, like the gin and then the passion fruit, the lemon is of course.
And and now that, it's been about 20-30 seconds since I first took my first sip, and I'm feeling a little bit of a nice burn, that nice little alcoholic sting. So pretty good.
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. It's been so dreary and wintry lately. We need a little kind of a little taste of summer.
I like
But
where
I think
your head
this-
is at
I think
with
this
that.
is what we have tonight.
I think you're definitely putting out the right vibes. I think this is it's definitely warming me up.
Yeah, I'm going to through willpower alone. I'm going to end winter.
You will stop now, winter.
that groundhog's not going to see anything.
Yeah, he better not, or else Evan's gonna drive all the way up to Puxatawny.
Yeah, you heard it here first. I'm gonna blind the groundhog.
That groundhog's got a death wish coming, and Evan, that's not a threat.
I'm
but
telling him to.
He just wants the
end
groundhog to
winter
be
now.
aware.
Yeah.
Right now, hiding in his little hole.
I know where you live.
We all know.
Puxatawny
Everybody
fell.
knows where he lives. He's dumb enough to put it in his name. Idiot. No, I'm just joshing. Everybody loves Phil. What is that?
We love a
We're not
groundhog.
animal haters on this show. Don't everybody, send us hate mail. But if you want to send us hate mail, screamstreamshow@gmail.com. We'll gladly take any mail, even if it's hate mail. We love it. No, this cocktail's delicious. You've done it once again, Evan. By Jove, it is delicious. So definitely, hopefully, having more. A double of this. Hopefully, a second one later, because it's nice.
We got another half of kiwi to get through.
Well, there we go.
So
perfect. Well, and I think it's going to pair perfectly with this movie. It's a beautiful drink for what some people might call a beautiful movie. Again, I haven't seen this before. This will be my first time watching Bluebeard this evening, but it is. We will see that it is starkly different from other PRC films, other Poverty Row horror films, just in the look and the atmosphere. And it all comes from the director of tonight's movie, Edgar G. Ulmer, who we'll talk about more later, but he was basically known for these visually striking movies. He could do a whole lot on a shoestring budget, and his most famous movie is probably PRC's most famous movie, Detour, which is a film noir that he did the year after this, and it kind of got hailed as this lost classic, and so he has this like kind of critical acclaim just as a director, and this movie is kind of held up as an example of what he could do even though he didn't have very much. So I think we're in for a treat tonight. And we're gonna see that this is not. Hadn't seen it, but it sounds like it's not the average Poverty Row horror film, but you be the judge. I want to know as we go through this, kind of sound off on it. Let's find out. Let's see what our opinion is here. But if we can get some consensus. On that note, anything before we get into it, Evan?
a lot of women got killed in that original fairy tale, but maybe they shouldn't have married someone with a blue beard.
Yeah, you would think that they would know. Obviously, beware of a man with a blue beard.
Yeah, that's a red flag.
Yeah, I mean, what is he doing to make it that blue? What's he putting in it? You know, something odd about that. Maybe that's the secret that his wives, you know, were really finding out. How does he keep his beard so blue? It's like, I don't want anybody to know.
That's what was in that locked room. It was just a big vat of hair dye.
Yeah, and he's like, everybody in town thinks this is natural, and it's gonna stay that way, or else.
Yeah, that's
why he killed 6
Oh,
wives.
okay, hang on. So I was actually talking with my wife about this, and it's a series of like 6 or 7 women, right?
Yeah.
And the second one finds the first one who he's killed and put in that room. But what did the first wife find?
That was
the hair dye.
I think that fills in that plot hole, because I
Yeah.
did see on the Wikipedia page that is kind of like a plot hole with the story. Or maybe you told me that earlier in the week. That is like what happened to the first wife. And yeah, I think she found the hair dye. And yeah, nice fan. I think you're right. I think Blue Man Group meets ZZ Top. I think that's,
okay.
you know, that would explain a lot. I mean, you know, I would like to see a member of the Blue Man Group with a nice long beard, you know, and it would be blue. It would make sense. I mean, I guess that's why they're bald, because it would be a lot harder to make your hair or facial hair blue, you know. Maybe that's a challenge. So better to just shave it all off.
Yeah, you just look like Tobias Funke.
Well, you know, but he, you know, even he had the little mustache at least. And I don't know if he painted that blue or not.
Yeah, I can't remember now.
I don't think he did. I think
he
that
did.
would have been pretty visually striking. I
Like
think
he was an anti-Bluebeard.
Right. Yeah. Without a doubt. You know, you got to commit to it. It's not something that you can be wishy-washy about. So,
Gonna commit to wife murder.
commit to wife murder, and that's how you too can get that sweet, sweet blue beard. Well, on that note, without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get into the exciting beginning of Bluebeard right now. Bluebeard. There he is. There's top build. Didn't happen very often that John Carradine played the lead.
Yeah, not just top build, but big build.
A big build. Oh yeah.
I want that big font.
Make that better be size 72 or else.
It says in my contract.
Ooh,
Nice one.
S-Sync. That was good. That was a
that's
good one. Yes. You're 100% right. You murder your wife, blue balls. That's why you couldn't stop marrying wives.
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and tell you.
Someone's got to get another one.
Director of photography there is credited as Jockey Findell. That's a pseudonym. Not a pseudonym. That's just a front for the actual DP who couldn't be credited. So it's kind of a weird thing about this.
Who couldn't be credited?
Yeah, which I will explain later in the show.
Okay. They were in the witness protection program.
Exactly. You, damn it. Damn it, Evan. Gave away my fact. Edgar G. Ulmer. Nice.
Watch out for pirates. Watch out, Captain Crunch is on the case.
Well, yeah, you would think that, you know, if there was really a pirate running around, who would you want on the case?
Margot, it's only me. Why didn't you answer when I knocked before?
You frightened me, Paul. What are you doing here?
Well, I only came to walk home with you. Don't you realize the streets of Paris aren't safe after dark with Bluebeard still at large?
Johnny, the Bluebeard didn't get you. Where were you?
Hmm.
What are you trying to do? Drag me to my grave?
Constance, it's already as dark as pitch. Lucille, will you hurry? You want us to leave and let you walk home alone?
Coming, Babette. But you needn't have waited for me.
Do you hear her? As if she wouldn't be scared
I'm not
to death
afraid
to
of
walk
any
alone on the
pirates.
streets these nights. Why do you suppose it is the police haven't caught him? Whom? Whom? Why, Bluebeard,
Whom?
of course. Who else is all Paris terrified of?
Oh, Bluebeard. I'd forgotten.
Come on, I want to get home.
I mean, he's got a blue beard. How hard could he be to keep away from?
Now let's stay close together for safety.
Got him. Arrgh.
Papa's here. Hello.
It's okay, it's only Dracula.
Constance is afraid of her own shadow. When are you going to get the show in the park again?
Perhaps quite soon.
These are my friends, Constance and Lucille. I forget your name.
Gaston Morel.
I always think of you just as the puppeteer. You've seen his puppet shows in the park, of course.
I forget you have a name.
No, I've missed that.
You mean you've missed his wonderful puppet operas? Well, they're great fun.
We should like to see one sometime.
I should like you to. I haven't been showing my puppets much of late. It's difficult to get a crowd these evenings because of the Bluebeard scare. But if you say you'll come, I'll give one tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night? What do you say?
Well,
Of course you'll come. He's afraid of Bluebeard.
Aren't you?
What would Bluebeard want with me?
I should think he might find you irresistible, mademoiselle.
you'll give the puppet show tomorrow night, then?
This is like kind of a funny, like, I'm not afraid of Bluebeard. Are you sure?
Maybe you should be.
If I had a top hat, I'd do that too. Puppet show in the park. Is that a euphemism?
Marguerite, having been convinced that Faust deserted her, and in a fit of despair, having killed her child, finally found the courage to give herself up. She was tried and sentenced to prison, where Faust, with the aid of Mephistopheles, finds her.
It's the voice of my beloved.
Damn, he's got a nice little band there for accompaniment.
Yeah, what's he charging to get into the show?
Seriously.
Puppet opera.
America!
Oh gosh. Matt Damon.
That's all I can think of looking at these puppets, honestly.
I've come back to you. Yes, come back to you.
Wow.
And I'll
Getting a whole show.
Yes, I've come to save you. I'm here. Come to my
They're riveted.
heart.
They've got nothing better to do.
Drink cheese, drink wine, eat cheese, and go to puppet shows. I'm waiting for the baguette salesman to start walking through. Is that racist? He's peeping out at the audience?
There's something so funny to me about puppets, like these puppets. I don't know what it is.
It's kind of hard to take them seriously.
Yeah, like.
Which is funny that in the 60s and 70s there were just all these television shows that were like action adventure. They're made for kids, but they're just puppets fighting, and it's like, all right.
That's how Sesame Street got its start.
Right, exactly.
Whoa.
Wow, they're really giving us the whole show.
What's the runtime for this movie?
Hour 11.
Is this why it's so divisive? Because it just depends on if you like puppets or not.
That would make a lot of sense. Puppet haters, man.
Jeremy, you take over and help this old demonstrate the puppets to whoever comes back. I'm going to take up the collection tonight. Thank you. You like the show?
Very much.
Thank you. I created the puppets myself.
Did you make the costumes?
Well, I designed them. What?
This lady's into them.
Yeah,
She's interested in clothes.
Modiste. Do you think you can make some new costumes for me?
Oh, well,
Come backstage. Let me show you the costumes.
Man, he's not wasting any time.
Come check out my puppet clothes. You know, these puppet clothes would look better on the floor.
How do you make the eye? Oh, the eye. Oh, that's very simple. You see these two strings here?
You like my little people, huh?
Very much. They seem quite real to me.
There are likenesses of people I've known.
Mephistopheles, too?
Yes, the evil one, too. One other thing is he's also my business manager.
And Marguerite. She a friend of yours?
She was.
What?
Yes, unfortunately, she met a tragic ending.
She must have been very beautiful.
They say you'll show me how the puppets work.
Let's get out of here until these people leave. They'll be asking endless questions.
I just can't stand my public.
I can't talk with a lot of people around.
I should think in your business you like crowds.
Yeah, nice fan. It's the, you know, people just can't stomach musicals these days, and unfortunately, I'm in that crew. A hard time keeping my attention with musical numbers.
It made me feel you'd suffered.
You're very discerning.
It's your Marguerite. The memory of that tragedy, isn't it?
Partly.
And you're keeping the tragedy alive deliberately, aren't you?
Why,
If you wanted to forget it, you could create a new puppet. One that would remind you of someone else. Someone who might make you happy. Is it much trouble to create a puppet?
It takes time. First I make a sketch.
A painting? Do you paint too?
Enough to get the effect. Do you know you have very lovely eyes? Truthful eyes. Would you let me make a puppet in your image?
Would you like to?
Very much.
Damn, she is all in.
This lady loves
Are you trying to
puppets.
decide how you'll paint me?
No.
Trying to say I'll strangle you.
Lucille! Lucille!
You better go with him. You better stay close to him.
But your Marguerite costume. Don't you want me to make it for you?
As you please.
Mysterious.
Where's Renee?
Oh, looking for you.
Oh. Was she difficult?
Well, the way she always is when you avoid her.
She comes back, tell her I'm looking for her.
Which you won't be.
Of course not. Good night, Miss Laverne.
Good night. You picked up a little something?
What? Oh, you mean some money?
For the musicians, you know.
For musicians, of course.
Wow. Taking the musicians' money?
Oh, my word of honor.
Wow, they don't give a fuck about the musicians. Whoa.
Why didn't you stay at the puppet show?
And watch you flirt with that girl? Who is she?
I don't know. Just a girl?
Nice.
Another, I suppose, to take my job for a few days. A few weeks. And you think you'll come back to me again?
I think you'd better go now, Renee.
Oh, no, not this time.
Renee,
I won't stand for it.
I warn you. You'll regret it.
Regret it. Gaston, I've regretted it from the start. From the first day I met you.
I didn't ask you to fall in love with me.
No. Then why did you keep telling me you needed me? That I was necessary to your success? What was I to think?
What did you think, Renee?
Gaston, these girls. I've known they didn't mean anything to you, really. Because you always came back to me. But Gaston, what's happened to them?
You've turned them into puppets.
Damn. Hey, we got a new subscriber. Sam M. Man, welcome. Thank you, Sam M. Man, over on YouTube for subscribing. Love it. Yeah, nice fan, 100%. I mean, you can definitely tell they're making good use of light and shadow, which is not par for the course for these kinds of movies.
A lot of movement.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny how much more kinetic things feel when all you're doing is just a few more pans, a few more little dollies in, dollies out. Makes all the difference. But that does take time. And when you're making a movie in a week, you have to really be good at your job to pull it off. another one out of the river. What is there some river in Paris?
That's a good question.
All right, audience.
All
Here
right.
we go. Take to the chat. What's the river in Paris?
Yeah. A little trivia for you.
We're quizzing you.
Yeah.
It is Renee, all right. Renee? Renee Clermont. She's been singing for me in my puppet show for almost a year now.
I see.
Is it the same?
Sorry, these are all routine questions. Morel, how did you know the girl was missing?
She was to rehearse with me this morning. When
Nice,
she didn't show up, I
okay,
went to her room.
There it is.
No answer, I got the concierge to let me in.
We figured it out.
How do you pronounce that? Sign?
I called again a little while ago.
See.
She had not turned up. The concierge it was told me the police found another girl in the same this morning. Another victim of Bluebeard, so I got worried.
Have you any idea who had a motive to kill her?
I can't think of anyone. She was always so kind.
When did you see her last?
God, the music is going like really hard. It doesn't need to.
You can prove that, of course. Of course. You didn't notice if she left with anyone?
No, I didn't. It's always quite crowded backstage after the performance. People come back to see how we pull the strings. Then they slipped away before I knew she was gone.
You didn't by chance notice anyone in the crowd that struck you as unusual?
I'm sorry I can't give you any information that might help you.
We are grateful for your identification, and we will call on you if there's any further way you can help us. Good evening. Thank you. Good evening.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Bernard? Yes? Send for Francina Chang. Rush her back to Paris at once. But Inspector, at once.
Good evening. You have come to tell me when we will give Faust again?
Now, how can we get Faust again until we find a new Marguerite?
Oh, Mademoiselle Renee is not with us anymore. What a pity. She had a good voice. You have somebody else in mind for Marguerite?
No. I'm thinking of giving a new puppet show.
So?
Yeah, something on the order of a ballet with a lot of new costumes.
Oh my God. Ambitious.
What is her name?
Lucille Etienne.
Where do I find this one?
Madame Blanche, Maurice shop.
When do you want her to sit for you?
I'm not going to paint this one.
No?
Definitely not. I merely wanted to make some costumes for me.
That's a new one.
It's a fact. Nothing more. Just to make some costumes for my puppets.
At your studio?
I don't know where she'll make them. I don't even know if she will make them. That's what I want you to find out.
When?
As soon as possible.
It's weird that we're following around this like love-struck serial killer. You know, you don't normally hang out with the serial killer as he's like contemplating pursuing a new romance. You know, kind of a weird, a little ahead of its time.
Yeah. Is this where you got the idea?
Yeah, I think so.
What do you mean breaking in here? We don't admit beggars.
I did
I'll
not
have
come
you know
here
he's a
professionally.
war hero.
That is not from the standpoint of my profession. I came here on a very confidential mission to see Mademoiselle Lucille.
I'm Lucille. Did you want to see me?
Oh, yes. Privately.
Not a lot of privacy there. What are you gonna go behind the curtain? Is that?
A certain gentleman has requested me to ask if you would do him a great favor. Who? Gaston Morel, the puppeteer.
Oh, the puppeteer.
Yes. He wanted to know if you would make some costumes for his new puppets.
You know,
Yes,
costumes.
I'd be delighted to. When?
Now,
Where is he?
at his studio.
Why, I'll go right along with you.
And that is gonna take us to our first break. So it's the pretty like eventful first third of Bluebeard. What are we thinking so far, Evan?
I'm enjoying it. It's been moving pretty well. I mean, apart from the puppet show was maybe a little slow.
Goodness
but,
gracious,
you
that
know,
was slow.
it's fun. It's fun to watch some puppets.
I mean, you know, back in those days, people were definitely more receptive to puppet shows and musical numbers, and you know.
Well, there's nothing on TV.
Right, exactly. What are you gonna, you know, a visual puppet show is definitely more interesting than a radio show. Although one of the most popular radio personalities was a ventriloquist, so you tell me how that works. Yeah, man, Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy, and Charlie McCarthy was a puppet who was literally like, I think we've talked about this before. But he was a famous puppet in the 30s and the 40s, and radio was one of his big mediums. He did films, but radio was kind of their big thing.
This puppet is a star.
So, you know, makes it easy for the ventriloquist. But, yeah, the puppet show is a little bit of testing the, you know, my patience a little bit. But so far, I mean, definitely kind of a little bit of an unconventional tale here.
Yeah, this is it's a bit of an odd story we've got going so far. That the bad guy is kind of the main character.
Yeah, and he's lovelorn. He's you know.
Yeah, he's sympathetic.
He just wants to find love. Yeah, I mean it is a little. It's very strange, right? It's definitely not like par for the course at this time, you know. I mean, again, like it's like psychological horror was kind of like, you know, it was more thrillers at this time that played with psychological elements. There wasn't like an established kind of like subgenre yet, you know, and especially when you're talking about Poverty Row and the horror movies that were coming out of there. Especially, like, PRC did like to play with interesting plots. I mean, you know, again, the Monster Maker the Mad Monster took a werewolf story and put a scientific spin on it. You know, the Devil Bat, instead of it being a vampire movie with Lugosi, it's Lugosi as a makeup manufacturer who creates a giant bat to take out his enemies. Like, it's mildly inventive, you know. There's definitely something to be said for that. But PRC, by the time that this movie was made, which, you know, it was made in 44, by 43, I mean, they were trying to get a little more attention. They were trying to show, hey, we can make good movies. We can make quality movies. You know, we can compete with the bigger studios. So they were trying to like expand at this time. And the book that we use as our source, Poverty Row Horrors, it had some pretty disparaging things to say about PRC. It like opened the chapter saying, PRC, Hollywood's most notorious Bush League studio. Doesn't that seem a little harsh? Like, it's, you know, Bush League is not, you know, I don't think anybody wants to be called Bush League.
You're by far the worst studio I've ever heard, but you have heard of me.
That's essentially what they were like. Their attitude at the time. They were desperate for, the book paints them as being desperate for attention. And another thing it called them was, if you didn't think it got worse than Bush League, it also called PRC the three-legged dog of the movie industry. So it tells you how the author feels.
The author does not like PRC.
For writing a whole book on just Poverty Row horror movies, I was surprised to see him really go at PRC so hard. But, you know, I mean, I kind of get it. You know, I mean, obviously they were just kind of trying to, I mean, do what any Poverty Row studio did in those times, which was churn out movies in a week for under $20,000. You know, that those are pretty serious constraints to be constantly trying to make movies under. So you're not going to get good quality movies. But that's where they had something a little different with Edgar G. Ulmer, the director of tonight's film. He was not your conventional just take the paycheck and, you know, get it done guy. I mean, he ended up, the year before this was made, he signed a long-term agreement with PRC. It was basically his home studio, and they let him do whatever he want, which is why he worked there. But I mean, he was from Europe, started his career in Vienna, and basically interned for F.W. Murnau, who directed Nosferatu, right? So while he was in Germany, he worked with the Siodmak brothers, who Kurt Siodmak was the guy who wrote and created 13 Demon Street and wrote and directed Bride of the Gorilla, which we watched last season, I think. So like he had gotten his film career started in Germany, moved to the United States in the early 30s, and his like third or fourth movie was The Black Cat from 1934 with Karloff and Lugosi, and it's a great movie if you haven't seen it. Really atmospheric, really interesting story, and he kind of made his mark with that movie. But unfortunately, like the year after it came out, I mean, he had a promising career with Universal. Universal Studios made The Black Cat, and you know, it didn't do great, but it did well enough. They were like, all right, we're gonna be working with Edgar G. Ulmer because he's a talented guy. He can do a lot with a little. And to the point that like early in his career, like after The Black Cat, Edgar G. Ulmer was trying to make a Bluebeard movie. He wanted to make a Bluebeard movie, and Universal announced that they were going to be making a Bluebeard movie with Karloff, directed by Edgar G. Ulmer. And then a week later, they split up. They had a falling out, Ulmer and Universal. Basically, he had an affair with the studio head's nephew's wife.
Yeesh.
So,
wow.
Yeah, so she ended up leaving her husband, marrying Ulmer, and essentially he got blacklisted from the major studios in Hollywood. And for 3 years, he didn't do anything. And then he basically kind of had to get back on his feet, work his way back up in New York and New Jersey, making Yiddish films and Ukrainian films and race films and just kind of like independent films made for special audiences. And that eventually led him back to PRC, or led him to PRC, which he came to around like 1942. And he directed maybe before tonight's movie, like 4 or 5 films for them, and did a good enough job that, according to Ulmer, he was like, what did he say? He said, he wasn't thrilled about working at PRC. He said, I drifted into PRC and couldn't get out. What helped me was I could use my own crew, and I was nearly running the studio from a technical end. I don't know quite what that means, but he said about one of the films he made before this, titled Girls in Chains, which was an early women in prison film, which you can believe is a popular subgenre, at least up through the 70s. He said Girls in Chains was such a gigantic money success that we could have bought the PRC studio. I wouldn't sign a contract, but this was my home, and I could operate and bring any ideas immediately to the top echelon. If there was interference, it was only that we had no money. But when I would say I wanted to make Bluebeard, that's what we made. So, and he said that to an interview with Peter Bogdanovich, who was, he was a famous director, but also a film historian, and interviewed a lot of these guys who were kind of considered great directors. And that's the thing about Ulmer, even though he worked at PRC and worked in Poverty Row.
He was a big fish in a little pond.
He was a huge...
king of Poverty Row.
Yeah, he really was. I mean, he essentially was. And it's, you know, kind of the interesting thing about his career is that, you know, he eventually ended up going... You know, he had his greatest success the year after this with Detour, which was a film noir, which is, it's public domain, but I'm saving it for, you know, I have it set aside for Wheel of Movies as one of the movies that we can pick to watch. But it is one of those like movies that's been, you know, still to this day is critically acclaimed. And but after that in the 50s, he kind of went back and started, you know, he did some low budget sci-fi and horror films. And those are the trailers that we're going to see for this break. The first is for a science fiction horror film that he did called The Man from Planet X, which, again, you will see all his kind of stylish hallmarks. I mean, the man, I mean, we'll talk about it after the break, but he kind of got a reputation for being one of these auteur directors. And if you don't know what that means, I'll talk about it after the break. But the second trailer, you know, The Man from Planet X kind of has a good reputation. The other trailer we're going to see for a movie he did called The Daughter of Dr. Jekyll does not have a great reputation. And it's kind of a weird, just the trailer alone, you'll be able to tell the plot makes no sense. So it's, you know, his later career, he didn't go out with any kind of big final films. His heyday was kind of, you know, Poverty Row. But, I mean, he did some pretty amazing things. So we'll talk more about him and you know, see what Bluebeard's got. One victim that we've seen on camera, but I guess multiple others before the start of the movie. So body count already looking pretty high. So we'll see what he can do in the second act. So we're going to get into these trailers, and then when we come back, we will get into the exciting middle of Bluebeard. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Right on the other side of the glass, looking right into mine, I was terrified.
Face? A human face?
A ghastly caricature, like something distorted by pressure. A horrible, grotesque imitation of the face looking right into my eyes.
To think, a fantastic gnome like you had to hurtle out of space to put this power into my hands. I'm going to tear out every secret you've got.
I'll give you until 11 o'clock to try what you can. If you're not back by that time, we'll open fire.
But you've got to at least give us time.
By that time, your job must be finished. If it isn't,
what's his appearance here mean? At midnight, when the planet is at its closest approach to Earth, an invasion will be launched.
$10:59.
Fire!
Daughter of Dr. Jekyll, yearning for love and discovering on the eve of her marriage the monstrous inheritance that was her birthright of fear.
Oh, I still shudder when I recall that face, like some perverted mask of evil out of a legend of horror.
Then you saw him, Miss Hyde?
Once, at the very last, just before the mob caught him. They almost tore him to pieces. The villagers broke into this tomb and drove a stake through his heart.
Daughter of Dr. Jekyll, terrified that she become the disfigured thing that was her father, a vampire drawing sustenance from bestiality.
I've got to get a stake and drive it through my heart and bury me beside my father.
Well, do it! Do I have to kill myself? If you love me, please kill me!
And we are back. So that were the trailers for two Edgar G. Ulmer directed films, The Man from Planet X and Daughter of Dr. Jekyll. And I've never seen Daughter of Dr. Jekyll, but it's like a weird hodgepodge of Dr. Jekyll if he's like somehow also a werewolf and a vampire or something. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
Okay,
but not see, that makes it sound cooler than it is.
It does sound cool. What were those
more
movies from the
confused.
2000s called? Underworld or something?
Yeah, it's not. No, it's not like that. It's not like it's like more confused. Like if it's confusing all that a werewolf sucks the blood out of its victim and needs a stake driven through its heart.
Okay.
Like
or you have to a vampire is repelled by a silver garlic or something.
Yeah, it's weird. It's just very it just seems confused. Yeah. And so again, I don't know. I haven't seen it. Maybe it's good. Man from Planet X, I have seen. It's been a while. I watched it probably like over 10 years ago. I need to see it again. That trailer, that was you didn't get a chance to see that one, but it was really high quality and it looks really good. There's some actually cool shots in that trailer. I mean, Ulmer, again, he's just doing his thing with fog and shadows and interesting sets. And I mean, that's the thing. This guy, like, he had this Bluebeard idea for a while. He wanted to do it, and boom, he did it.
Dying to do Bluebeard.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird because we in our pre-roll we had one of the trailers that we had was for a Charlie Chaplin film called Monsieur Verdoux, and it's about actually based on a real serial killer named what was it? It's Henri Landru. And he was a real serial killer who married wives and killed them and was he was called a Bluebeard. And a few movies that are called Bluebeard adaptations are just versions of Landru's story. Because I guess he's actually was the only example of a real life Bluebeard, right? And so Chaplin, around this same time as this movie got, into production with PRC, Chaplin was trying to make a version of the Landru story entitled Bluebeard, and PRC beat them to the punch with the title. They were able to get the book said something about they got title clearance before Chaplin.
They got dibs. They
basically got dibs on it. So that's why Chaplin's movie is called Monsieur Verdoux, but it's, it was not a very critically well received Chaplin movie. It's, dark comedy was not really a lot of people were like, why is he doing this? This isn't, but I've seen it before. It's interesting. There's some funny bits, but I mean, Ulmer got it done. He got it done first. And I think Verdoux came out 3 years after this. So, gotta give it up. And I mean, again, this wasn't, even though this was a passion project for Ulmer, it wasn't like PRC gave him extra time and extra money to do this. This was shot in 6 days in, same budget as any other, PRC movie, like
just
$10,000-$20,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is surprising that how did they squeeze so much out of, the same amount that they were.
That was just what Ulmer, that's the thing. That was what Ulmer did. He was a director who could do that. And this, like I said, the uncredited cinematographer for tonight's film, Eugene Shufton, Ulmer said that he was uncredited because he had some kind of dispute with the union, with this, cameraman's union, couldn't get into the union. And so there's about 6 films between 43 and 46 that he did cinematography for where he was uncredited. And then other movies that he was credited for were not made within the Hollywood system. They were like independent, non-union productions. And Ulmer worked with him a few number of times. So, I mean, I think that's a thing. Obviously, when you're working with somebody that you've worked with before, who's a talent, like Shufton won an Oscar in the 60s for The Hustler, which is a Paul Newman movie, which won the Academy Award for Best Cinematography Black and White Film, back when they were giving out one for black and white, one for color. So he kind of gamed the system a little bit there. But, I mean, he still was a really talented cameraman, but he also did special effects for Metropolis, which famous German science fiction film by Fritz Lang, which we'll watch eventually on this show. He also was the cinematographer for Eyes Without a Face, which is a famous French horror film, which is really critically acclaimed. So, I mean, he was, Ulmer was blessed to be working with this cinematographer, but, they had to move fast to be able to do it in 6 days. And apparently Ulmer had claimed at one point that he did 80 setups in a day. I don't know that he claimed that he did it on this, but the book says this movie is an example of the fact that he probably did do something close to that, because this is not normal for Poverty Road to be usually you get your wide, close up of one person, close up of the other person, and that's it. Yeah. You have your 3.
Not usually a whole lot going on with the lighting, movement.
No, they don't do any of that stuff. But Ulmer was like, that was his thing, was, okay, we're going to spend time on this. And even though we're not going to spend much time, it's enough to get something good looking out of it. So that's why Ulmer ended up being called an auteur, which is, this is kind of a controversial film theory kind of thing, where it basically was said that certain directors have so much of a style and there's so much of a key part of every part of the movie that it's distinctly a this person movie. But the French,
if you wear enough hats while you're making a film, they give you a fancy title.
I mean, that was essentially it. But it was especially when you're talking about Hitchcock or John Ford, who was a famous Western director. These guys were called auteurs, these big famous directors, right? But there were these French critics in the 60s when this theory was kind of coming about, who said, well, yeah, you have these big guys, but what about they started pointing to people who'd worked at Poverty Row Studios, and one of the biggest people they held up as an example was Ulmer, to be like, well, look, you have people like Edgar G. Ulmer who have had a very distinct style, and every movie you can kind of look at what they did and see, oh yeah, this is an Ulmer movie. It wouldn't be, it'd be a totally different movie if it didn't have Ulmer's, touch. He is the key thing for this movie being what it is. That was something that the French critics kind of said, no, this isn't just reserved for the best Hollywood directors. This is there were some people who were working under the radar that also deserve to be acclaimed. So that's kind of one of the things about the auteur theory, is that it's kind of You know, some people deride it now because, like, well, you're discrediting all the art and craft that comes in from the other department heads and the other people working behind the scenes. And that's true, but there is something to be said for certain directors who have so much of a style that it shines through in the multiple elements that make up a film. You know, it's not just the look or the feel, it's everything. You know, there's something about that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, anytime you're making a film, there's so many like layers and hands that it's passing through. So I mean, it is kind of interesting, I guess, if you put so much of a stamp of yourself on it.
That's what it is.
They just can't scrub that out.
Right. That's 100% what it is. That you can track that, right? I mean, could
you describe in words what Ulmer's what his style?
Well, again, atmosphere, creating atmosphere through light and shadow, really trying to get the most out of his set design, production design. Even when he didn't have a lot, he knew that he could light it a certain way and then, you know, light and frame the actors certain ways. And we won't see, I don't know that we'll see it as much in this film, but if you look at like Detour, he was very good at like kind of the shadow work that's reminiscent of like German expressionism, you know. And again, Murnau, who he was an apprentice under, you know, he took a lot of those kind of German visual like techniques and chiaroscuro and the balance between light and dark and playing off that, and was able to create a heavy atmosphere and, you know, really able to stylize things. I mean, one thing I think we kind of saw a little bit that I noticed in, I think it was the trailer, maybe in both of those trailers, he does a lot of like straight on shots, which are lit kind of, you know, atmospherically. You know, it's not just kind of your flat, like medium close up. He's trying to kind of be a little unnatural with it, but it's creating atmosphere. So yeah, I mean, we'll see more as we go on. We'll be able to pick those things out.
We'll see as we go.
Anything before we get into?
Does the audience have any predictions? Does anybody want to throw anything out? What do you think is going to happen? Where were we? We were.
So last time, his crony, co-worker, fellow puppeteer had been sent to go get his
victim, love interest
/ victim. Yeah, I think that's the only thing you can describe her as, to get her to come and check out his puppet collection, and that's a euphemism.
Yeah, ladies love puppets.
Ladies love puppets. That's why I've got this ventriloquist doll right here, ladies. No, God, unfortunately, full disclosure, there was a time where I was interested in the art of ventriloquism and was like, it was middle school, and I got a book from the library about the art of ventriloquism.
Was it more about the puppets, or was it more about the being able to talk with your mouth closed?
The voice throwing. But I liked the kind of creepy, like old school look of the puppet, and just like the idea of that being like kind of a lost art. But also just, the whole idea of being able to throw your voice is such a cool concept anyway. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I tried to learn the techniques that the book was teaching me, but I'm not going to say I dabbled in it because I think that would be giving me too much credit. But I looked into it.
Okay.
I entertained the idea of ventriloquism one time.
S-Sync's got a prediction. There's always a final girl. So that,
I think she already fits the mold of a final girl in the sense of like, beginning of the movie we meet her, she's like, oh, I'm not scared of Bluebeard, and then she's immediately getting wrapped up in Bluebeard, and it's like
she's getting all tangled up in blue.
Oh, that was a solid one. That was very good. Well, I think on that note, we're gonna go ahead and get into the exciting middle of Bluebeard right now.
One never knows what he will turn up with next. I always hope one day he will make a stout farewell to me.
Why, Seal?
I will run along.
Yeah, I don't want to be a third wheel or anything.
This is where you work.
It is.
The puppets. Did you make them?
Yes.
You don't seem very glad to see me.
I'm delighted. These are the costumes. Do you think you can make them?
They're quite good. Did you create
Oh, I thought you were going to be a shitty artist.
Why so many?
I'm thinking of devoting more time to my puppets. Up to now, they've been merely a toy, sideline.
You're painting?
Puppets are my hobby. No, what? Painting is my hobby. Puppets are my passion.
Why?
I have my reasons.
That's what his bumper sticker says.
About the costumes, would you like me to make one of your approval?
Take your choice.
This. Plain to be seen, a woman's care is lacking here.
Is the place that dirty?
Oh, like any bachelor quarters.
You need a maid, guy. Oh, wow, look at that.
Give me that.
It's torn.
I meant to throw it away.
Thought he left his socks on the couch, like a bachelor.
Throw it
away.
Oh, if you're crying to. A few seconds will put it right. Why'd you decide not to paint me?
Paint me like one of your French
You're gonna
girls.
make a puppet after me. You seem really interested. Something happened.
She is one of his French girls.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you that.
Did I do something or say something?
No.
Were you disappointed after seeing me more closely?
On the contrary.
Then what?
You ask too many questions.
Oh, you don't like being asked questions.
No.
Got something to hide?
Yes.
Don't ask.
You're very charming.
He's technically, he's not lying.
I wonder.
He's not telling the whole
Here
truth.
we are. All fixed.
Damn, she's quick with the needle.
What brings you here, Lamarque?
The police have found the body of the last girl.
Well?
Why must you continue to throw them into the Seine for the police to find?
The Seine.
You know why?
That's the most frightening obsession of yours, Gaston. It has put me to great expense smuggling your paintings out in France to be disposed of.
You must make enough out of the transaction to be always after me for another canvas. Is that what you're here for now, before you dispose of the last one?
As a matter of fact, I've sold the last one.
Already?
Yes. The Duke of Carradine was in my shop the other day looking for something unusual.
The Duke of Carradine? Don't tell me you sold it to him.
Oh, he didn't give me any fancy price such as he's noted for. A mere 5,000 francs.
Fool, the Duke of Carradine always exhibits his collections. What if someone should recognize the girl?
The people who attend the Duke's exhibits are not likely to know such an obscure girl.
But his exhibits are public. Anybody can get in. You better persuade him not to show that picture.
That might arouse his suspicions.
Buy it back from him. You said he gave you only 5,000.
I don't think he would part with it.
The girl in that painting was one of Bluebeard's victims.
Wow, bam, right away, got it. Nobody's gonna know. The police don't go to gallery showings.
Are you sure? Positive. Oh, this is most distressing. One of our men on guard here at your exhibit noticed the resemblance and called my attention to it. I investigated, and there can be no doubt it's the same girl. Most unfortunate. Most fortunate for us that you happened to buy the picture. Because I'm sure that we can count on your cooperation. Naturally, I'll do anything in my power, Inspector. Thank you. What do you know about the painter? Nothing. I bought the canvas largely on the recommendation of the art dealer. Although, of course, I recognized its great merit. Who was the art dealer? Jean Lamarté. You know him? Only by reputation. Lamarté. What did he tell you about the painter? As a matter of fact, he was evasive on that point. But he did intimate the painter was someone of reputation who executed this canvas under the pseudonym of Albert Garron. Lamarté. I think I'll pay him a visit.
Don't seem to recall such a canvas. Of course, the Duke buys many pictures, and not all from me, unfortunately.
But this one, he recalls distinctly having bought here. It was painted by one, Albert Garron.
Albert Garron? I don't recall his name.
Strange, because he informed me he paid 30,000 francs for it. Because you had told him that someday this painter would be quite famous.
I might have seen great talent in painting. I frequently backed my own judgment successfully.
Have you, by any chance, any other paintings by this Albert Garron?
I'm sorry to say I haven't. But I have a canvas by another very promising young man, if you are interested.
Yes, I might be.
Thank you, sir.
This way, please.
Thank you.
And this one is very reasonable.
Yes. Yes, it's rather good. But not as striking as the Garron. Do you think you could locate this Garron for me? He might have something else I would like. You must have a record of that painting.
Come to think of it, I do recall the canvas now. A plain dark girl against a bizarre background. An old man brought it into me one day.
Oh, the painter himself?
No, some old man I've never seen before. He said he needed money.
You happen to know his name?
I paid cash. His name didn't interest me.
Do you happen to know from whom he got the painting?
No. He merely mentioned to have been in the family a long time. But why all this interest in Albert Garron, may I ask?
Well, I'm interested in his work. Are you sure you couldn't contact him for me?
I wouldn't have the vaguest idea how to locate him.
Well, I'm sorry, Monsieur Lamarté. Afraid we can't do any business at the moment.
If I knew where to reach you, gentlemen.
Oh, I might drop in some other time.
Thank you.
Sure?
Yeah, you really got yourself in a pickle there, guy. Oh, whoa.
When did you get back? I'm straight off the train. Oh, what a filthy trip. I had to get bathed right away, even before I could report to the office.
You mean you have to go to the office tonight?
Oh, yes. From the telegram I received, you'd think the whole of Paris was holding its breath until I got back. Was he with you? He? Who? You know whom I mean. You never told me his name. Oh, Jacques. No, he was not with me. It was Jacques who sent the telegram.
Jane, it's outrageous. You're never home anymore. That position of yours.
Wait a minute. Remember our agreement? I'm not to interfere in your affairs, and you're not to in mine.
But someone for me will simply have to wait.
Yeah, right. You thought.
Good evening. I brought one of my little people for her to use as a model.
Who is it, Lucille?
It's one of my customers.
Then what are you making clothes
For puppets. The puppet.
Well, have them come in. I'll stay out of sight.
It's my little sister, Francine. I'm sorry she isn't presentable. I'd like you to meet her.
Tell him to come in and wait. I won't be long.
Won't you come in?
What's the matter with you, afraid to... Good evening.
Gaston Morel.
How do you do?
Usually better than this. I'll be out in a minute.
I really can't stay. I thought if you had one of the puppets for fittings, that they're all pretty much the same size.
Oh, then you want me to go right ahead and make the clothes?
Certainly.
I'd be glad to.
Then, if you'll excuse me. I'm very glad to have met you, mademoiselle.
Happy to have met you.
Good night.
Good night.
There's a microphone inside that puppet.
Just a customer, eh?
Yes, just a customer.
A. Do French people say A?
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 French Canadians.
Well,
Oh,
puppets.
Oh, they just came with the puppet.
Oh, sure. To keep it from breaking. Well, he's not bad looking. The one who pulls
They didn't
strings,
have
I mean.
bubble wrap back then. They just used flowers.
I can't tell you how glad I am. Well, of course, we all are, to have you back.
Thank you, Inspector. Oh, may I present my sister?
Your sister? But you never told me you had such a charming sister.
I'm no fool. How do you do?
I'm very happy to know you. Really, Francine has told me a great deal about you. Gentlemen, that will be all for the present. But now you must tell me about your success. Would you sit down? And you? Now we can talk. Tell me all about yourself.
I thought you called me back here on business. About Bluebeard.
Bluebeard. He's a thorn in my side. Seem to be getting nowhere.
What have you done so far?
Here's a complete dossier. I want you to read it when you find time. Up to recently, I had him classified as a painter. But we have questioned practically every art authority in Paris. Yes, Professor Voisin, and even Recamier down. And now we are questioning artist models. But no one seems to know this man's technique.
Well, I don't quite follow you.
You see, I have the painting that the Duke of Carradine bought. However, it would be much quicker to show you. Would you come along too?
You two go ahead. I'll stay here.
All right.
Just gonna hang out in the cop's office?
Hélène Moreau. Hélène Moreau.
I like
Did
this.
Ulmer paint those?
Huh?
Did Ulmer paint those?
That's a good question. I'm not. The book disparaged the paintings. The book did not like the paintings.
How are you, Renard?
Oh, thank you. I'm very well.
Almost at the shop.
Leroy? You are an artist's model?
At the Beaux-Arts.
Will you please study that picture? Have you any idea who actually painted that picture?
No.
You will notice the distinctive style. In what would you say that distinction lies?
In the background.
Exactly. Have you ever known a painter who used that type of background?
No.
Next girl.
Mimi Robert. And so it goes
I feel like they're telling me to pay attention to the background.
But why?
That's Ulmer's style.
Lamartine is the dealer who sold you the painting. I suspect that he knows the painter, but I have no proof yet. Would you mind questioning a few, Inspector? I've been at it for hours.
See, like, look at this shadow of the soldier in the window.
Yeah. Don't look
now. Mademoiselle, you're not here.
There's something behind you. He's right behind you.
We are merely qualifying witnesses. You are an artist model?
But of course. What do you take me for?
Mademoiselle, that's beside the point.
I've modeled for the greatest painters of France.
Oh, no doubt.
France? The greatest painters from France?
Sculptors, too. You know, of course, the Venus de Milo.
Oh, yes. An historical masterpiece. But surely you're not going to tell us you modeled for her.
Shut up. Why are you razzing me, dude?
But recently, have you been occupied as a model?
Well, not exactly as a model. You see, since I've retired, I've been...
I don't think we need to go into that.
Prostitute.
I like that guy. That's my favorite character in this so far.
Albert Gallon. But of course.
Who is he?
Bluebeard.
Take a look at that picture. Have you any idea who that painter might be?
Well, when I modeled for money...
The question is, do you know who painted that?
No.
Next model.
Listen, I have an idea.
Carradine, all right. You want a portrait of your daughter and ask me to help you find a satisfactory painter.
Being strangers here, we naturally look to the Duke, who is a relative, for recommendations regarding a number of things.
Why, true so cheaply.
The Duke is a man.
Is that the sister?
Yes. Among his paintings, I noticed one that particularly attracted me. The canvas of a young girl against a rather startling background. I was wondering if this painter is available.
What had the Duke to say of that painter?
Unfortunately, we had no opportunity of asking him.
You see, we only arrived in Paris last evening, just before the Duke left town.
Yes, and since we're sailing back to South America before he returns, we had the chance only for a few intimate matters, and I mentioned wanting a portrait.
What was his painter's name?
I couldn't make it out very well. Karoff or Caron?
Garon?
Possibly. At any rate, whoever he is, his flesh tones are superb. It was that which
superb flesh tones.
To capture my daughter's subtle beauty.
Please, Father.
All right.
Unfortunately, Monsieur Deschamps, I do not
Only a true master can capture the beauty of my daughter's flesh tones.
The subtle beauty.
Look him up. Rather a good commission.
I would know where to find him.
But for a commission of 75,000 francs, you could advertise?
Advertise. $150,000.
Oh.
Holy shit.
Driving a hard bargain.
But mind you, I don't promise I will have success.
Well, at least you can try. Oh, by the way,
Let me give you a little something on account.
That isn't necessary. But if I do find this painter, and it turns out to be someone of reputation, painting under a pseudonym, he may not wish to use the name.
Whatever name he paints under does not concern me, so long as he is the painter who did the canvas I like so much.
It's well to have such matters understood.
But it will have to be painted soon. Don't forget, I want to take it with me to South America.
I'll do my best. If I have any good news for you, I'll get in touch with you at once. At the Duke's.
We will be most grateful to you, Monsieur Lemate.
Thank you.
Whoa. That's fucking wild.
Yeah. I did like that. Is that the Whispering Shadow?
The Whispering Shadow. I think so.
Monsieur, why don't you come in the front way?
You killed my sister.
Perhaps if you paid me my rent, you could dictate which way I should enter my own property.
You've made plenty out of my paintings in the past.
I made a small profit in the past. But do you think I'm going to let you go on living here for nothing?
I'll pay you.
What? What you make with your puppet show?
Oh, I'll manage.
Don't be ridiculous. But I'll make you a proposition. 25,000 francs, if you will do.
25,000?
I might even get you 30.
Oh, that would give me a magnificent puppet show.
Dozens of them.
What's the proposition?
I spend all my money on puppets.
Wants a portrait of his daughter.
True artist.
I thought so. No, I've told you, I'm through painting.
So you can be, for good. After just this one. Think of it, Gaston. 30,000 francs.
I am thinking of it. No, it's too risky.
Too risky.
Besides, I've told you, I won't pay any more of your girls.
But this is different. This is a portrait. And this is safe. She's leaving almost at once for South America to be married. And she's taking the painting with her.
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
I would run any further risk.
If there's no risk, why shouldn't I paint her at your studio?
My studio?
Yes. The workroom over your shop. That's all right to paint a portrait in.
Why? Yes. So it is.
I paint her there or I don't paint her.
All right. All right, Gaston. You paint her there. So the shop.
And that is gonna take us to our second break. Do you like that?
Yeah, you. And you paint her there.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta love the atmosphere. Yeah, I mean, again, like I said, there's like these close-ups where
atmospheric close-ups.
Yeah, they're just kind of. I don't know why you had a thing for that, but I mean, even you go back and look at the Black Cat, there's some really great close-ups of Karloff's character in that, which, I mean, again, the whole movie just has a very distinct look and feel, but that is Ulmer. I mean, he's got a style. And I mean, so far,
the glue that holds this whole thing together.
Seriously, because I mean,
the Ulmer's glue.
Ulmer's glue. I only use Ulmer's. That's a tried and true brand. That's why he's so good. No, I mean, what did we have? We haven't had a murder in that second.
Yeah, the second act was a little slower.
A little bit. Yeah, I was kind of surprised. you know, I mean, definitely some interesting developments, right?
Yeah,
like
things have been developing.
The idea of the heroine having a sister who is a cop, right? Like, because I mean, they went to that like inspector's office, and he gave her a dossier. He's like, here's a dossier on Bluebeard. Like, and now she's undercover with that guy playing her father.
She's a loose cannon.
Well, I mean, how else are you gonna catch this killer? Somebody's got to break with the ranks and go out on a limb and you know, come up with some elaborate traps. So
start cracking some skulls.
Yeah, why not? I don't know her name, but she I don't know, it's an interesting, yeah, I mean, an undercover policewoman, hey, come on. It's you know, which, I mean, again, Ulmer didn't write the script. The script was written by Pierre Gendron, who was a regular PRC writer. He wrote Fog Island, which we've seen, and The Monster Maker, which we've seen, which I didn't really like very much, but that was the one where the mad scientist injects the guy with acromegaly.
Oh, yeah.
Still fucking weird, which is also a PRC film. Not one of the better ones, but that is one. But I mean, you know, I think that I thought there was gonna be a little bit more Carradine being sinister, but you know, I mean, what I will say about Carradine in the second act is he's continuing this understated style of performance, right? Like, I can't remember what line it was, but there was some particular line, and I was like, wow, he really could have hammed that up, and he didn't. Which is the thing about John Carradine, that it kind of had, even at this time, had a reputation for being a little bit of a ham. I mean, he definitely could be. I mean, he could definitely. I mean, he could be on par with Lugosi in terms of the level of overacting. But I mean, whereas Lugosi could overact and kind of like, just because of how magnetic he was, you don't call a Lugosi performance hammy usually, or I don't. But you look at a very over-the-top John Carradine performance, or like you look at like an over-the-top Vincent Price performance, and you say, yeah, hammy. That's really very hammy, you know? So John Carradine, like, I mean, and he wasn't just, you know, it wasn't like he was just a horror movie actor. He was a very widely used supporting actor. Like, he was a favorite of John Ford, who, you know, again, a big Western director who was also called an auteur, but he was like a Hollywood supported, like studio system supported auteur. And Carradine was a part of his unofficial stock company, right? Which, if you want to see Carradine really ham it up, go watch the John Ford movie, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, which is from, I think, 1962. And Carradine has like a 5-minute monologue. He's literally just in this one scene in the middle of the movie playing some blowhard political delegate who's nominating this guy for senator for their like burgeoning state.
Better or worse than the puppet show?
It's better just because John Carradine is literally like, oh, like singing the praises of this guy that everybody, all the main characters in the movie hate. Like, they're like, oh, this guy would be a terrible Senate candidate. But John Carradine is like giving this very like over the top, passionate nominating speech for this guy. And then the guy comes in this convention hall on a horse. What? And it's like got a lasso. It is absurd. And that's all John Carradine has to do in the movie, but he, you know, kills it. But I mean, before this, I mean, probably one of his most famous roles was in the John Ford movie Stagecoach, where he's like, which that whole movie is these people traveling in a stagecoach, but they're under threat of, attacks by Apache, and John Wayne is a outlaw who's being transported to the city that they're going to. And, John Carradine's character is like a Confederate, like a former Confederate soldier who's like a Southern gentleman, but he's kind of a bad guy. So that's the thing. He was known for he could play bad guys. And of course, naturally, that opens you up to horror roles. So that was kind of his in. And then he got to play the lead from time to time with horror movies. He didn't get that opportunity very much, but one of his earliest horror roles, very small part in Bride of Frankenstein. That's why I'm wearing this shirt tonight, if you were wondering. He's just like a guy who wanders into a blind man's shack when the monster is there, and then kind of scuffles with Karloff's monster and then goes away. And not much of a part, but there he was. But the year that he made this film, Bluebeard, he was in 5 other horror films. He also did Invisible Man's Revenge, The Mummy's Ghost, The Return of the Ape Man, House of Frankenstein, where he played Dracula, and Voodoo Man, which we watched on this show way long ago, and you'll never find that episode. But that's 6 horror movies that he made in 1944. I mean, he was
working hard. And that was just the horror movies he made in 1944. That's not all the other movies that he made in 1940. I mean, he was very prolific. I mean, he said he made over 400 movies. The real count is more like 230 something. It's an easy round up.
I mean, John Carradine kind of him and Ulmer both kind of like to exaggerate something. According to John Carradine, Ulmer let him direct a scene in the movie tonight. I don't know if that's true, because apparently that's the same interview where Carradine said a lot of other things that were untrue. So even he said a thing about this movie where he said, Ulmer kind of ruined it because of these scenes with these comedic gendarmes. There's no scene in the movie with 2 comic relief gendarmes. There is in The Black Cat, and it is kind of slows the movie down. It's short, but it's still just kind of dumb comic relief and in the middle of what is an otherwise thrilling movie. So I don't know if John Carradine was just hadn't seen it in a long time and was confusing his movies, because apparently he had a bit role in The Black Cat. Also, probably played a Satanist. He's probably an uncredited member of the Karloff's worshiping group, but apparently he was in it. But yeah, I mean, Carradine, 44 was a big year for him, obviously, and that was House of Frankenstein was the first time he played Dracula. He played Dracula 4 times, and guess what? That's 2 more than Lugosi. And Lugosi is the guy that pretty much everybody thinks of when you think of Dracula. But guess what? I mean, I think there's probably a small group of people that does think of Carradine as their Dracula, because basically from the 40s through the 70s, he played Dracula. So that's what we're going to get during our breaks. We're going to get all 4 trailers for all 4 times that he played Dracula. It's a little bit of a longer break. But, Carradine, I don't know that we'll get many Carradine movies on this show. So, this is definitely the only, starring role. So
this is as close as we can get.
So we're gonna do it up. We're gonna big it up for him. So the first trailer is House of Frankenstein, which came out the same year as this. House of Dracula is the next one that came out the year after. The third trailer is Billy the Kid versus Dracula, companion piece to Jesse James Meets Frankenstein's Daughter, which we came after our Voodoo Man episode, actually. It was the next episode after. And filmed concurrent. Those two movies were filmed concurrently. And then the fourth trailer is for... It's like a late 70s disco takeoff on... I guess the Dracula mythos, but with like Dracula's daughter, granddaughter. It's like called Nocturna, daughter of Dracula or granddaughter of Dracula. And she like travels to New York and is in like the disco scene. And it's fucking,
Sweet.
I've never seen it. Like, I guess I'd vaguely heard about it just knowing Carradine did another Dracula movie, but seeing this trailer, I was like, kind of like, I need to see this movie because it's so cheesy and dated. But you know, Carradine, you'll see it, but there's a bit where Carradine fucking takes out like dentures that have fangs on them, and it's like, I'm so old, like as Dracula, like I'm so old. So it's an interesting parallel to him playing Dracula. You know, he started when he was in his prime, and then, you know, to the late 70s, which was probably his late 70s. He was kind of spoofing that role that he took up the mantle from Lugosi. So, but I mean, he had a lot of experience. So we're going to get these 4 Dracula trailers, really doing it up for Mr. Carradine. And then when we come back, we'll get into the exciting conclusion of Bluebeard. So stick around. We'll be right back.
I'm going to repay you for betraying me. I'm going to give that brain of yours a new home in the skull of the Frankenstein monster.
The jugular vein is severed. Not cut, but torn apart as though by powerful teeth.
A werewolf. Last night I killed a man,
You didn't know what you were doing.
but I did. I wanted to kill.
I think they're after Dracula.
See before you a man who has lived for centuries, kept alive by the blood of innocent people.
When the full moon rises, I turn into a werewolf with only one desire: to kill.
I tried to perform the miracle of science and failed. My blood is contaminated with the blood of Dracula.
travel by stage was dangerous because of vengeful renegade Indians, a massive, mysterious bat terrorized the pioneers of the West.
When the vampire takes a mate, he turns the one he chooses into one of the living dead like himself.
There's something spooky about all this. Something I don't understand, but I'm gonna find out.
Don't be afraid, my child. I chose you for my mate. Tomorrow you'll become one of the undead, as I am. Your bullets can't hurt me. 127 years old, but well preserved. She flies, she bites. She is Nocturna.
I'm the granddaughter of Count Dracula. I'm a vampire.
I don't even have my own fangs anymore. Good evening.
Hi.
When Transylvania drags,
I'm going to New York.
Empire like to be fatal. Nocturna is ready to bite the Big Apple. But Nocturna is out for blood. Fresh, young blood. And a night you will never forget. Biting story of love and passion. Nocturna! She'll get under your skin.
And we are back.
Wasn't that fun?
All the John Carradine Dracula trailers, and they're at the end Nocturna, which I haven't seen, but let me tell you, I'm gonna have to check it out because, you know, I like cheesy disco. I mean, again, another cheesy disco Dracula movie, Love at First Bite, which is, you know, kind of a very similar story. Dracula travels to New York City, and he falls in love with a model, but
and they're also playing disco music.
Yeah, and there's a whole oh god, yeah, you better believe there's multiple disco numbers. You gotta love that the disco craze, like greater than any other craze, the way that it rose so fast and then crashed and burned, right? Like the speed with which like people were trying to capitalize on it, and it was already too late. It was already like out of fashion before. By the time that movie probably came out, it was probably like done.
You know what's funny? The idea that Dracula, who's like hundreds of years old, would get in on disco.
I know, right? Like, seeing John Carradine in the middle of that disco is what makes me want to watch that movie, because I'm just like, I can't believe they got him there. You know, I can't even, and before I decided on doing all Dracula trailers, I was just looking at John Carradine trailers I could show. You better believe I considered Vampire Hookers, where John Carradine plays a vampire, you know, who has this whole harem of vampire hookers. It's basically a softcore porn film. John Carradine plays a vampire named Richmond Reed, which was actually his birth name.
Really?
So I don't, and it's like a comedy, but it's a softcore film, and John Carradine's wearing like a white hat and a white suit and a white cape, and he's got fangs, and he's just, you know, having fun. He would again, he did hundreds of movies, so he's in some pretty low quality stuff. That's what, honestly, this is considered by some to be one of his greatest performances, because
Really?
it's understated. It's not, I mean, again, this came out the same year as Voodoo Man. I don't know if you remember him in Voodoo Man, but he was the guy that, like, he's like, oh, you're pretty, and like, kind of like, he's the one that lets a wife out, one of Lugosi's wives out, and then Lugosi you know, oh, you fool, like, and he's like, oh, I didn't, like, it's just really, you know, kind of a 360-degree turn from. I think the book describes it as he drooled his way through that role, something like that. I love the way the book is so snarky.
Author is scathing.
So snarky about like the things that they don't perceive as of worth or value. I mean, again, the three-legged dog that produced tonight's movie might take offense to that, but what are you gonna do? I'm trying to decide which I think is worse or also concurrently like better, Three-Legged Dog or Bush League. Bush League is such a great insult. It doesn't get used enough.
Yeah, it's a good burn.
Bush League. So Bush League. Well, you know, I think we're a little above Bush League tonight, but we gotta get to the end of this to find out. Yeah. So we won't make our calls yet, but I do want you to be thinking about, how do you feel this stacks up to the Poverty Row horror movies that, Evan, that you've seen, or the audience that you've seen on the show or seen otherwise?
Could we get maybe a quick
recap
with maybe some of the Poverty Row movies?
We've had our first one was Voodoo Man, which again is the lost episode that nobody will see. But we have had Invisible Ghost with Lugosi. Remember, Lugosi made 9 movies with Monogram, which was the other big Poverty Row studio. So we've seen Invisible Ghost, 8 Man. That was also in season 1, and Invisible Ghost was season 2. The Devil Bat, which was produced by the studio that did tonight's film. Then we've seen The Mad Monster. We've seen, which was the werewolf movie. Dead Men Walk, we saw in season 1. That was the vampire movie with the twins, played by George Zucco and Dwight Fry from Dracula and Frankenstein. He was in there. Trying to think. I mean, Fog Island, that's a little more mystery, though. That's not necessarily horror. The Monster Maker. Trying to think. I mean, that's. Oh, I guess Scared to Death counts as Poverty Row.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think this is better than Scared to Death? Okay, you can think about that one.
I'm remiss to answer it now, but I think it's kind of an unfair question to ask about a movie that I love unequivocally versus this movie I'm seeing for the first time, which, to be honest, it's not necessarily keeping me as engaged as like a Scared to Death.
I'm hoping that this third act is things are going to get a little more exciting.
According to the book, it does.
Okay.
According to the book.
Well, I'm sure if it didn't, that author would have something to say about it.
The book, if he's going to disparage it so much, if he says something's good, which again, author Tom Weaver, and he had some help, but Tom Weaver is, you know.
Mr. Weaver doesn't say, and the ending stinks.
No,
Okay.
He did not say that. But there was something I read about the ending that I'm like, hope this doesn't spoil it for me, you know?
Okay, yeah.
And I won't explain that to you, but you'll know it when you see it, and you'll be like, well, we'll see.
Okay.
So, the interesting thing to look out for in the climax, see if you notice And it's just something odd. We'll just put it that way. We'll leave it vague.
Okay.
Anything before we get into the conclusion of tonight's film, Evan?
If I might proffer a prediction,
Absolutely.
I think this is how this is going to shake out. Is they're going to get Bluebeard,
right?
They're going to kill him, but then camera turns, and hanging by the strings in the puppet stand is a puppet of Bluebeard.
Ooh, that would be cool. That
And
would be
then
good.
Rod Serling walks out.
And so we have a tale as old as time. Smoke cigarette.
A puppeteer hanging by his own strings.
Yeah, there we go.
In the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, that would be. We could be so lucky. On that note, we're gonna go ahead and get into the exciting conclusion of Babe Blue right now.
Sacre Bleu.
Possible escape.
Oh.
But how are we to know that this Garon has actually showed up at Lemontes?
We'll give you a signal. The shan't stand at the window and light his cigar. You notice that window at the back of the office.
Station someone that can watch
See,
the window.
yeah, she's a
and relay
cop.
the signal.
But don't enter too soon. Give the painter a chance actually to start painting.
That's it. We must have something on canvas as evidence. Perhaps, Francine, you could persuade the painter to demonstrate the background he intends to use.
I'll try, surely. The signal will mean only that the artist has arrived and started painting.
Yes. I leave the timing to you, Renard, but remember, you are also absolutely responsible.
He further stipulated that there should be absolutely no visitors, not even you, sir. Rather than risk his outright refusal, I accepted.
Yes, but my daughter...
Oh, you needn't be concerned about me. And I'm sure Lamarte will not object if you wait here and smoke.
Not at all.
Well,
Smoke him if you got him.
Well, if you insist.
I'll take the lady to our painter.
Oh shit. He knows her. He's met her. Well, he's seen her eyes down. Or up, sorry.
The painter has requested that he be permitted to work unobserved. He finds it more satisfactory that way. The senorita is here. Are you ready?
Quite ready.
She's gonna step into some light where he just sees her eyes. Already, there it is.
Anything you want. You have only to call down the speaking tube.
Thank you.
The artist understands the need for haste is quite agreeable. Therefore, I won't take up any more time.
I think
Nice.
you'd better pose me.
I must ask you to do that yourself. The effect will be more individual.
That's an interesting technique. Is that like? I mean, I should know whether that's like something that artists actually do or not. But that's an interesting to not have to look at somebody and look at your canvas and look back. If you can just have it side by side to your canvas, that definitely makes it easier.
Why not just turn the canvas?
It didn't take you long.
Not too long.
It's true. I mean,
Our painter was ready.
He's shy.
Yeah.
He can't look directly.
Well, yeah, he really can.
Get on with our business arrangements.
I have brought the cash as you stipulated.
For the full amount.
150,000 francs.
But again, there's something to be said, like, even if your subject's right in front of you, like having a mirror, having a flat kind of image stacked up beside you,
Haven't you?
I don't know, there's something to that.
I say I would love to see some other pictures you've done.
Thank you. Head higher, please.
Well, you know, if you know how like how you see yourself in a mirror, like the version of you that you know yourself as is the reverse of you in the, you know,
right,
as everyone else sees you.
That's
because
true.
It's always, you know, you see yourself in a mirror.
Right.
So back then, I suppose if you didn't paint somebody from a mirror, they would think that doesn't look like me.
I could see that. Yeah, it's like this is way off. Why am I all backwards?
You painted me backwards, you son of a bitch.
Some interesting, curious.
I should have known you weren't a legit artist. Painting me and using a mirror.
Prying eyes.
I wore this simple dress thinking you might give me an interesting background. I liked particularly the background you gave that girl in the Duke's picture. Do you think you could do one for me like that?
I could.
You have not lighted your cigar.
Eh? Oh, well, I've been smoking a little too much lately, and besides, I got interested in this statue.
Good. Then you won't mind excusing me a moment while I go up and see how our painting is coming on?
By all means. Go ahead.
That music is like a composed piece of music, like I think like a classical. It's not
But your shoulders. Can't you straighten up?
original.
Not so square.
Well, I've asked you to pose me. I'm quite helpless about such things.
Uh-oh.
Surely it can't be so difficult for you to be yourself. What's the matter?
Lucille's puppeteer.
Lucille.
Oh shit.
Who said so?
Martin.
Lamartine. And you believe what Lamartine told you?
They gave him the Lugosi shot, dude. That was good, dude. That shit was intense, man. He was not overplaying that at all. Lugosi, I love him. He would have overplayed it. And I would have loved that. But there was some intensity to that with him just being calm. And also her like really being emotional. I think that was, yeah, really good.
It's such a like cut above the usual poverty row stuff.
So, you know, definitely a lot more, again, kinetic. That's the word I would use.
It even seems like the sets are more intricate.
I mean, they got to make it Paris, you know, in whatever year. They're trying.
Costumes are all pretty good.
And you were trying to sneak out of here, leaving the blame for this to me as well.
No. No. I want it.
Body count's kind of piling up.
And you even had it timed, didn't you? You were going to be gone from here when they got in.
Oh shit.
Ooh.
Nice. What's taking the authorities so long? What are they doing? Nice.
We're breaking in. We're down. Almost the river. Keep a sharp lookout.
What? What? Wow, nice. Retreat to the sewers.
He's finished.
My favorite part of the Bluebeard fairy tale is when he retreats to the sewer.
It goes to live with the rats.
These paintings.
Oh my god, what the hell is that painting right there? It looks like it was done by the lady who fixed that Jesus fresco. I should say fixed.
Certainly isn't going to help us, Andy. Where's Francine? He took her out there.
Oh, brutal. Oh, man. Does he have the gall to go to the funeral?
Him, we were before, not even that close. Le Marche was the only one that we had to follow. Unless I can find out what happened to that cravat. But I've been all over town. Making the shops and nothing.
A cravat?
Yes, this one.
Oh, shit.
What's the matter?
You say he used this?
Yes, as a garrote.
Then you think the owner of this cravat is the murderer?
Very likely. If not, he probably could take us to the murderer. Lucien. I don't know how to say this. But you know how I felt about Francine. She's your sister. If I only could make you believe, I will do everything I can. And for you too.
Thank you.
Now we have something in common, haven't we?
Yes.
He hitting on her?
At the funeral?
This is my sister's funeral.
This is really inappropriate, dude.
Oh, no.
Wow.
Wow, the nerve.
What a cad.
Classic serial killer, right? Trying to play it cool.
My deepest sympathy.
But she knows. That makes this even more brutal.
This? Very likely.
What happened to the stitches?
It may not be the same one. I have several alike.
Several.
Half a dozen maybe at home in my drawer.
May I ask where you got them?
One for each
In a
victim.
shop in a Place de l'Église, I think. Why?
I just wondered. It's such unusual material for a cravat.
Yes. Fragile. Would you be so kind?
Would you care to go in?
My interest is in the living.
I called chiefly to offer my condolences.
Thank you.
Came to make a play at you, not to see my victim's corpse. They
Just
come up and
ads
they
on
go
everything.
away.
Okay.
And sometimes you see a rating, and what are you gonna do?
I don't think that was public domain.
It might not be. Probably edit that out.
Are we gonna get a copyright strike for showing a clip of an ad?
Yeah, we'll get admonished by YouTube, surely.
Ad.
No, I don't be.
May I come in?
I'll.
Please do.
Yeah, they have rules for paid advertisement, but what about unpaid advertisement?
If we're just promoting whatever that was.
Where's the cravat?
Which?
The one I mended for you.
Oh, that. You must know I threw it away.
Oh, I wish I could believe you.
You've been through a lot, Lucille. Sit down.
Can I fix you a drink?
Let me bring you something. Some cognac?
Yeah, there it is.
yeah.
Look, boom, right on cue. Look at me.
Where were you last night?
Right here. Working on my puppets.
The whole evening?
Working on my puppets. It's a euphemism.
To paint someone.
Haven't I told you I don't want to paint anymore?
But that merely meant you wouldn't paint me. Why was that?
What good would it do to tell you? You don't believe anything I say to you.
Why wouldn't you?
As a matter of fact, I was becoming too fond of you.
Fond?
Yes. But it was more than fondness. I found myself falling in love with you. Really in love.
Why should I prevent you from painting me?
Lucille, I want to tell you something no other living person knows. Then maybe you'll understand how much I do love you. And why I don't want to paint you. I was a very ambitious youth, Lucille. And extremely sensitive. I almost starved to death as an art student. I didn't mind physical starvation. But there was something in me. A burning ambition striving.
I didn't mind physically starving.
I don't really eat much anyways.
They're called starving artists.
Never seeming to get anywhere. I painted every model who came there, but the canvases all turned out to be one after another, just ordinary. And then, one night, as I was going home to my garret, I
Hey,
came across a girl.
it's me.
Collapsed.
It's Garrett.
My garret was close by. I carried her.
Where are you?
Did you see that canted
Yeah, what was up with that?
Money.
expressionism?
We're going down Caligari Street.
Yeah.
She needed nourishment or she would have died.
Ooh, look at
Somehow
this.
I managed to get her the
Spooky.
things she needed. Then one day, to pass the time, I began to paint Jeanette. That was her name.
This is very Ulmer.
Jeanette Lebeau. There was something in her fever-tormented eyes that was almost spiritual. Something that reminded me of someone I'd seen. Then it came to me. The Maid of Orleans. I'd seen the tomb of the Maid of Orleans, and it inspired me. Then by chance I sold the painting to Lamartine. Jeanette recovered after that, and then one day, without a word, she disappeared. And then one night, Lamartine turned up at my garret with a letter.
He
And
keeps
informed me
saying my
Academy
name.
had awarded my picture, The
Yes.
Maid of Orleans, the prize. would hang in the Louvre. And I was being recommended for the Legion of Honor. I worked in the Louvre. I was almost insane with joy.
Can you be insane with
Quite
joy?
naturally, I wanted to share my happiness with the one who was chiefly responsible for it. Jeanette. I went looking for her, searching everywhere. At last, I traced her through the doctor I'd called in for her. He gave me her address. I went there. Outside her door, I heard laughter. But what laughter? Then, it was then I really saw her. She invited me in. She wasn't the same Jeanette.
It's kind of how his character looked in Stagecoach. White hat. Okay. But he had the mustache then.
I suppose she thought she could repay me with money. Suddenly the sight of that Jeanette did something for me. Something indescribably infuriating.
Nobody throws money at me.
I don't like getting money bombed.
Stop her defiling the image I created of her. Stop
This
her
is
degrading my work.
self-defense.
Thought that'd be the end of what she could do to me, but it wasn't. Every time I painted again, I painted Jeanette. So I turned to making puppets because I could make them of wood. Because when they became Jeanette, I could take out my fury on them.
Because they're made of wood.
There's no money in puppets. At least not enough for Lamar.
Oh, really? There was no money in puppets?
Only he knew that I'd killed Jeanette. So I had to paint for Lamarté. He wanted pictures of girls he could sell.
Got a great business opportunity. Okay, hear me out. Puppets.
I'm sorry, your loan has been declined.
Finally, life gave me nothing to me, not even my own. Then I saw you.
Damn, look at that.
I'd missed my existence. What I thought I might find in Jeanette and didn't.
Gotta love a nice behind the
I knew
fire
I saw a
shot.
chance for fulfillment. I knew I couldn't live my life over again to deserve you. I knew I couldn't undo the wrongs I'd done. But I could prevent further ones. That's why I definitely quit painting once and for all. I decided there must be no more killings for your sake. That's why I couldn't paint you.
But she killed her sister.
Yes.
He killed my sister. The whispering shadow killed my sister.
I didn't want to kill her. I accepted that one last commission because it would mean independence.
Not for his death puppet.
There wasn't to be a chance for a slip-up. That's why I was to paint her at Lamarté's studio, with him standing by. I didn't recognize the girl that came there as your sister until it was too late. All I realized suddenly was she was coming between us, you and me. Cutting me off from you. Wrecking our one chance of happiness.
They call me the puppet master.
Justify her murder.
Anyone seeking to destroy our happiness is a menace.
The
A
puppet
menace
death,
would have to be
right?
done away with.
What was it they said earlier? There was something they said. I was like, that's a great group name.
You're not thinking of going to the police.
Why not?
You wouldn't do that.
Wouldn't I?
Lucille! You couldn't do that to me. Not you, Lucille.
Nice
And
dolly.
you could, I wouldn't let you. I wouldn't let you turn against me, too. Oh, no, not you, Lucille. Not you. Smash in the door.
God, these fucking PRC doors are awful. Uh-oh. What do we think? She live or die? Oh, fuck.
Oh.
Nice. I love this set.
How did you get here?
Oh,
I followed you. I saw when you looked at that cravat that you had some idea.
Holy shit.
He's getting away.
Wow. Look familiar? That was the exciting conclusion of Bluebeard. What did we think, Evan?
I thought that was pretty interesting. You could definitely see that the guy's got a style, which I appreciate. You know, it's maybe rare that we get something on the show where you have like a, you can see the director in the finished product.
Right. Yeah, no, you definitely. Well, and usually if you can, it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Right? like when we're watching it's been a while since we've watched the Poverty, because a few of the Poverty Row films that we've watched have had some of the same directors who haven't been very good. I think that's God, see, the names are escaping me right now. But we've had a fair number that have just not, been able to put any amount. Gene Yarborough is one that I don't like, don't really care. He did The Devil Bat, but he also did some Universal horror movies that I don't care for, like She-Wolf of London, which is like the worst Universal horror movie by far. I posed, like, there was a Reddit question in the Universal Monsters group asking one time, what's the worst one? And I think I said She-Wolf by a mile, and it got like I don't think it was the most. I don't remember what the most was, but it was, I think She-Wolf was the second most, because it's awful. It's not a good movie. And I'll go ahead and spoil it for you. It's because there's no She-Wolf in it.
Oh, boo.
It's like they do all these scenes like there is a she-wolf stalking around, but then at the end the reveal is, it wasn't really. It was all in the heroine's mind. She thought she was the she-wolf, but she's fucking crazy actually, and it was her crazy aunt who was killing everybody because she was trying to get her fortune or something. I don't know. It's not a good movie, so I don't mind spoiling it for anybody. But he did King of the Zombies, which wasn't a bad movie that we watched, but that was a movie that we watched that Gene Yarborough directed, but he's not one of my favorites. There was somebody else that was Poverty Row directed that was awful, but Ulmer obviously has a style. He obviously put a lot in this movie to be able to get the same results on a 6-day schedule.
It is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
If you hadn't, told me that this was a Poverty Row movie, I probably wouldn't guess it.
Really?
I think so.
Well, and that was the thing I was curious to know from the audience is, do you think this is above average for a Poverty Row horror movie?
No, it's definitely above average.
Well, see, and that's always the thing with the idea of this being a Poverty Row horror movie is that, like, and that's why I think the book is so iffy on it, is that, like, okay, yeah, there is a lot that sets it apart from average. There's with with obviously Ulmer's influence. Well, and I will tell you, like, this movie has not had a shortage of critical acclaim at all. Like, even when it initially came out, which when you usually go back and look at reviews from horror movies when they first came out, they are usually shit on. Like the trade, especially the trade papers, like your Variety, Hollywood Reporter, which have been around forever. They don't mince words with horror movies. They're not fans. This one, for whatever reason, the Hollywood Reporter just fucking gushed over this movie. Let me tell you. So this was, they raved. This was their part of their review. Class product. Every opportunity to entertain utilized to the fullest. Combining an intelligent story with psychological overtones and a beautifully mounted production. Ulmer's direction is studied and exact. There is a gentleness and understanding permeating the entire film that can be attributed to him. That is the Hollywood.
This movie is that person's favorite, I think.
It is wild. Like, again, I always kind of take note of what the contemporary reviews were for the movie, and it's even the big Universal movies that people love. You'll go and see, like, awful, Drek, hated it, you know, you'll see that. But this, like, even John Carradine's performance, they said this was his they said one of the finest pieces of acting in a long time. I mean, it was good. No, it was a good performance. Let's not, like, again, there's a difference between what he would normally kind of do, hamming it up, versus, I guess, what Ulmer's direction, again, that's what an auteur, like, to the extent that you can rein in a hammy actor and say, I don't want you to ham this up. I really want you to play this understated. Yeah, there was definitely some power to that. At the same time, though, and why I think it's divisive is because it's still a Poverty Row horror movie. There's still shortcomings. It's still creaky. That's what the book says. Like, and if anything, it gets creakier, you know, as time goes on. It's you know, the puppet show obviously that went on a minute or two too long, and like even the climax there, like. It got a little, like, confusing. The stunt double looked kind of not like I thought it would look like I don't know. It was weird when he fell into the water. But did you recognize that drop into the water?
What was that? Was it Fog Island?
It was reused a year later in Fog Island from the same studio, PRC. Yeah. That's right. So much better quality in this than like in Fog Island. It's like they put all these filters on it to make it really dark and kind of hard to see. But when we watched Fog Island, we saw that shot. We were like, whoa! Like, I loved that shot.
It is good.
If you go back and look at the Fog Island episode, I rave about that shot. And it's funny because it's not even from that movie. It's from this movie. It's from an Edgar G. Ulmer movie. Like, that's kind of like a testament to his skill and talent. The studio's like, God damn, that shot was great. We need to use it again. And then here I am. I was lauding praises on that particular show. Like, wow, that was real. I mean, I just remember being kind of taken aback.
I didn't notice that it just wasn't a person in that movie.
Well, no, exactly. That's the thing, is that it was so low. Like, the print, first of all, is low quality, but it also, I'm pretty sure in that movie, it's a lot darker. It's like maybe they put some stuff on it, so you can't necessarily tell It's a different person. But just that, again, it looks like Ulmer kind of has a preference for being like really straight on with his camera. Like for certain, like trying to have an effect with certain camera angles to have them straight on. Like when he gets to kind of a more intense or climactic moment, he goes with this like straight on, and especially when he goes close up, it's like, damn, he's, there's an effect to that. And I've appreciated that. Again, Black Cat is probably one of my like top 10, maybe top 5 movies of all time. Like, we went to the big like mall where I live, which I'll tell you, Evan, for reference, Concord Mills.
Okay.
And
the big mall.
The big mall. And I don't know what the video store was there. I don't think it was a Suncoast, but whatever store was there, went in and saw the VHS tape for the Black Cat, and Karloff is on the cover looking really sinister. I'm like, I went in knowing I'd be able to get one thing.
Yeah,
so
it was at Dave and Buster's, and you had to play a bunch of skee ball to win.
And I got it right. And but then like I won it, but then it dropped down into a claw game, and I had to be able to pull it out of the claw game. So then I was, after a very challenging time, I did secure it and went home and watched it that night. And like, there's so much adult stuff that like went totally over my head as a kid. And I was like 7 or 8. Like, I'm surprised. Like, no, I don't think I was really being supervised, because who wants to sit and watch this old movie besides this 7-year-old kid? But I was like, I loved it, and I've watched it many times since then.
Okay. You found an adult movie and you watched it a bunch of times.
Yeah, like there's basically, not to be crass, but there's like tits in this movie. Like,
okay.
So, and not to give anything away, but basically, look, there's Karloff and Lugosi, but Karloff's character is really the true bad guy, and his basement is full of his either past wives or women that are dead, and he's basically implied to be a necrophiliac, and these women are hanging up in these glass cases for him to just come and observe whenever he wants, and they're wearing these see-through gowns basically. And this was material that Ulmer shot after the production code people said, this is too lurid, you need to go back and shoot like more material. He shot this stuff where these women, you can literally see through their gowns. Like, and I don't think I noticed that the first time I watched it, but there's definitely a certain point as a young man where I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm seeing some tits right now.
Did you say it was a Lugosi movie?
Yeah,
So what I'm hearing is, as young Master Garrett discovered pornography via a Bela Lugosi movie.
Essentially, yeah. I think that's a pretty good summation for why I am the way I am, is the Black Cat.
There you go.
And it's the one of the few movies where Lugosi plays a good guy, right? And he's not necessarily a good guy, but he's a good guy. Like, you have to see the movie, and I urge everybody to go see the Black Cat. Which, again, Lugosi was actually in a second movie called The Black Cat, which is a 40s old dark house horror comedy, which isn't really, it's fine, but if you're going to watch a Lugosi Black Cat, watch the 30s version. It's really good. And Ulmer, I mean, again, you see what he does with a big budget. That's probably the biggest budget he ever got to work with. So it's worth seeing. But, I mean, all in all, tonight's movie, pretty solid. I enjoyed it. So, you know, good to see a Poverty Row movie that's got some talented people behind it. It was a nice change of pace, and again, good cocktail to kind of warm us up. It was just kind of a nice change of pace from what we've been doing lately. So, but don't worry, because
we'll be getting back.
Next time we're going to be getting back to the cold. Back to the cold with another good old fashioned creature feature, but this time instead of a beast living in a cave, we get a true snow beast. And in fact, the title of the movie is Snow Beast, and it is about a monster that we haven't gotten to see on this show yet. We're very excited to finally see a Yeti movie.
Okay.
And,
I guess we haven't had a Yeti.
We have not had a Yeti. We've had a Bigfoot movie, but we haven't had a Yeti movie.
Well, Kenji was kind of like a Yeti.
In the Manster?
In the Manster.
That's a very good point. Yeah, he was definitely
kind of a Yeti.
Yeah, they were living up on that mountain. There was snow up there. I would definitely give him the moniker of Yeti. So maybe not necessarily our first Yeti movie.
Maybe our first natural-born Yeti.
Yeah, I think so. But this one's interesting because it's a 70s TV movie. So, it's, I don't know. We'll see. It's, now I'll go ahead and tell you, I don't know if we'll broadcast it live on YouTube. We might just do it on Twitch because I feel like it might get copyright flagged. So, it's supposed to be public domain. From what I've seen, it's a public domain TV movie. But, there's a risk. At the same time, I'm committed to embracing the seasonal aspect of the film and, getting a Yeti movie in. So we may very cool indeed. We may just be on Twitch for that. So, if you haven't checked us out over on Twitch and made an account over there, it's really easy. You can go check us out because we're over there at ScreamStream Show. We are also on Instagram and X at ScreamStream Show. And of course, if you want to catch up on any of our past episodes, you can go find those over on our YouTube channel. We're over there at ScreamStream Live. And, you want to check out any of our past Poverty or horror movies, any of our Lugosi movies, any, don't have enough Carradine movies to have a playlist for Carradine, but, it is what it is. But all that over at ScreamStream Live, so like and subscribe. Let's keep growing that channel, getting it, keeping it strong.
And thanks to everybody for chatting along with us tonight.
Appreciate it as always. Keeping it interactive. That's the goal.
There's room enough on this couch for everybody.
Yeah, don't let me suck up all the oxygen out of the room with my boring film facts. Give me your facts. They can be alternative. That's fine. Give me your opinions,
your facts and your facts frequently asked questions.
That's right. We always need them questions. We don't care how intrusive they are. Comments, concerns, jokes, whatever you got. We're happy to have everybody here, and just keeping it fun, keeping it interactive. So great episode. Thanks everybody for tuning in tonight, as always. Anything before we sign off tonight, Evan?
If a Yeti does a bunch of planks, would you call it an abdominal snowman?
Big time. Big time. On that note, until next time, sweet screams, everybody.
And to all, a good fright.